Okay, so today's blog post we're going to be covering smart shoes for evening wear. So I've been getting a lot of comments on my other videos, people asking me what shoes they can wear in the evening, either for going to clubs, socialising, basically for more smart wear. Doesn't have to be formal, it could be for going to a disco, to a club, but in London and in England in general you need to wear leather shoes to get in. So these kind of shoes we're looking at today, let's just have a look here. Got 10 pairs, these are the first 4 or 5 we're looking at here. Are all shoes which are smart, kind of classy, and you're going to be able to get into a club or look decent in a restaurant. I've already done an expose on summer plimsolls and casual shoes, so this is your evening wear and stuff for the smarter looks. Okay, so first we've got a pair of round toe brogues. The brogue is actually this pattern here on the toe. You can see this sort of triangular pattern here and there. The round toe brogue is very fashionable right now, and I chose this pair from Ted Baker. Right, they're actually £130, so they're pretty expensive, but they're a beautiful shoe, and they also come in a brown, which looks great as well. This will work with, you know, skinny jeans, any cut of jeans in dark colours, and with a beige or brown chino coloured trouser. So that's the £130 brogue from Ted Baker. I chose these ones because they're like kind of high end and I really like them, and Ted Baker and Paul Smith especially do very nice brogues. However, you could go to a much cheaper shop like Office or Shoe, even Top Man, and get something similar along these lines, a brogue toe with a round shape and the thicker sole for, you know, like a third of the price. But this is the nicest one available to us today, and that's from Ted Baker for 130 quid. That's the round toe brogue. So all the shoes I'm going to show you, you don't have to stick to the brands that I'm using. I've got 3 pairs of shoes from Ted Baker here simply because I happen to go to Ted Baker. So I thought, you know, why not get examples from here? But all of these shoes could be from a different brand. So it's really the style we're looking at and not particularly the label. So again, with that in mind, we've got our next style shoe, also from Ted Baker. And that is this kind of sleek, pointed shaped loafer with the brogue toe. So again, really nice shoe, the patterning is awesome, and these are from Ted Baker, and they are £100, so 30 quid cheaper than the round toe brogue. Still a really cool shoe, and that is the long, sleek shaped, pointed toe brogued loafer from Ted Baker. And then moving on again to our third pair of shoes from Ted Baker, we've got a very similar shoe to this one. This is the plain pointed toe loafer. The most versatile, definitely the most common, and really a staple part of, you know, men's evening wear for your average fashion guy in London, in big cities in the UK and Europe in general. So this one is also, I think, £100. Let's just check that. Yep, £100 from Ted Baker, and that is the long, sleek shaped, pointy toe, laced up loafer. As I said, guys, all 3 of these styles are available from cheaper brands and from a huge variation of brands. They're all very popular shoes, so you don't need to stick to Ted Baker. You can go in other brands, just look at the style and copy that. Or if you've got the money, go to Ted Baker. Alright, so moving away from these smart black shoes, which are almost dress shoes, right? We're going to go for deck shoes. So I covered these in an earlier blog on casual shoes, but the good thing about the deck shoes is they work in both scenarios. Right, so we've got the deck shoe here by Timberland. Despite the fact it's got a white sole and it's brown, you'll still get into a club or a smart restaurant wearing these. They're an expensive shoe, and these are the plain brown deck shoe by Timberland, which cost, let's check the receipt there, £100. So again, these are 100 quid. Right, by Timberland. Timberland is a nice label, so they're a bit more expensive. They're going to get you in anywhere, but they're £100, which for a casual deck shoe is quite a lot. I chose the nicest pair to show you today because why not show you the creme de la creme, right, which are the Timberland versions. But then again, I also have these down here, which are from River Island, and they cost 30 quid. As you can see, they're very similar. A slightly different style, but really much for muchness. So you don't really have to go and spend £100 on the deck shoe from Timberland. You can get a cheaper version from, say, River Island, Top Man, Office, etc. if you don't have the money to spend. So that is a similar boat shoe, deck shoe, from River Island, also in brown. So it's going to look great with dark blue jeans and lighter colours as well. Really nice for the summer, and it's definitely smart enough to get you into clubs, a high-end bar or a restaurant. Okay, so the next shoe we're going to look at are called Desert Boots. So Desert Boots actually have a bit of history. These are made by Clarks, but they were actually made for Victorian troopers, soldiers, during the colonial era, during Queen Victoria's reign. So they were actually made for rest and recreation for Victorian soldiers. So these shoes have been around for like hundreds of years. You know, they're a standard issue for the English Army, but are also very cool. So these are deck shoes, super comfortable, super tough. Obviously they have to be if they're for soldiers out on the lash, you know, in their R&R time. So that's a desert shoe by Clarks. Really cool shoe as well. It's actually a boot, desert boot. Suede finish, thick sole. What I really like about these shoes and the original Brogues by Ted Baker is that they've got a nice thick sole, as you can see. So if you're worried about sort of being, you know, losing height when you're wearing shoes, you want to maximise your height, then these are the shoes for you. They're gonna be, you know, make you look a bit taller than say your average loafer, and definitely than a plimsoll, which we're going to cover in a minute, or a deck shoe. So those were Desert Boots, and they're by Clarks, right? Clarks make the original desert boot, as you can see there, right? But there are also a million cheaper imitations available from every other brand. So you can go into Topman, Zara, River Island and find something along these lines for cheaper, right? However, these are the real McCoy, and I like them a lot, and they're by Clarks. Let's get a price on them for you guys. Where did that receipt go? Alright, so the price of those desert boots was 80 quid. So 80 quid desert boot. Really tough, really comfortable, and really cool for the evening. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our next variation of boot. Let me just move the desert boots out of the way. Okay, so a lot of guys at the moment, and have been for a while, are wearing sort of big workman boots. And they tend to have the laces undone, like this. And with the boots really open, you know, open up like that, with the tongue hanging out. So we've even got this kind of inner patterning here and style here, so that you can have the boot really undone and your jeans tucked in. So I'll even put them on for you in a minute, right? But that again is a workman boot, and this is by G-Star, right? And we actually got them from the shop Shoe, and they're in the sale. They originally retailed at £135, but they're currently in the sale for £75. So really good saving, and that's a cool boot. It's a nice variation on the desert boot we looked at earlier, and it's actually a lot more common. You're going to see a lot of guys wearing these at the moment, and let me just put one on for you so I can show you how people wear these. So there we go. We can either go for this kind of look when we have it all loose, hanging out like that, and I tuck my jeans inside. Looks pretty cool, the skinny jeans. Or we can go smarter, do the shoes up and cover them with the jeans like this. And then you've just got the classic looking workman's boot. Either way is really cool and a great shoe. And just like with the Brogues and the desert boots, they've got a nice big sole. So, I mean, I'm about 6 foot tall, but I go to clubs sometimes and I'm speaking to girls who are wearing heels and they look about 6'2". I don't want to lose any height, especially in a club scenario where women are wearing high heels. I want to maximise my height, and these boots, the desert boots and the initial Brogues we first looked at, are going to do that. Got a nice sole, they're going to add a bit of height, they're very smart, very versatile and very tough. They're going to last a long time. So that was the Workman boot by G-Star, which we got in Shoe, the shoe shop Shoe. Okay, so that's our kind of smarter leather shoes covered, which is going to bring us to our last couple of pairs of shoes, which will also work in a smart scenario to get into clubs, restaurants, high-end bars, etc. So, back to Vans, good old Vans. Something I've mentioned in my blog, and one of the most common shoes, if not the most common selling shoe in the world, I think, plain black Vans. So despite the fact they're only, I think, 36 quid or something, very cheap shoe and a plimsoll, they're very versatile, and you will get in a club with this. No one can tell this isn't a leather shoe, there's no detail, it's a plain black shoe, so you will be able to walk into a smart scenario with this and keep it casual at the same time. If you're not really happy wearing leather shoes or you don't have the money, that's the shoe for you. It's going to work anywhere. You can walk into a club with it, a restaurant, wear it in the gym, wear it socially. It's a very versatile shoe. So that's a Van plimsoll, but will actually work for high-end scenarios as well. And then let's just try a sort of variation on that. Another plimsoll which will get you in is the Dolce & Gabbana plimsolls. A lot more expensive. I think these are £67 they retail at. That's the classic Dolce & Gabbana plimsoll. It's got this kind of, you know, bling bling silver plate on, which I actually quite like. For a lot of guys, you know, that might be too much for them, in which case go for the Van. But as plimsolls go, they're leather. Despite their rubber sole, you'll still be able to get into a club with them or a bar, as I mentioned. That's the Dolce & Gabbana classic plimsoll for £67. So guys, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pairs of shoes, 8 pairs of shoes even, 9 pairs of shoes even, and I hope that from that overview of smart men's leather shoes, you all have an idea now of what to wear to clubs, out in the evening, and those smart scenarios. So that's FashionGameTV, and that was smart shoes for this summer and for general for the rest of the year. Thanks guys.